because we think you are the top of the echelon of athletes that have attempted this sport, and we just want to know more about you and how this all got started. You are one of the elite group of athletes our town has ever had the pleasure of hosting. So our first question for you, and maybe we can start with Sarah, is can you tell us the path you took to becoming one of these elite athletes?
Thank you for having us and for the question. So for me, windsurfing started when I was a teenager. My dad introduced me to it, and I wanted to make a career out of it as soon as I turned 15, but I kind of went a different path because artistic and athletic careers have no guarantee. They're very risky, and at the time my family didn't really support me taking a big risk like going into sports. So I went and studied computer science and applied mathematics for 5 years in an engineering school, and had a very great degree. I worked really hard for it, but felt like something was missing, and was going to job interviews and just dreaming about windsurfing still. And so with the money I saved for my internship, I flew to Maui by myself and entered the competition and did good enough to get my first sales sponsor. And from there, I just kept trying to make myself become a professional athlete. And it took some time and some years and efforts, and especially not having done any windsurfing for 5 years of my life because I went a different path. But my passion was just so strong that here I am 6 years later and I'm living this dream. So
Tell them your name.
my name?
Yes,
Sarah Hauser.
Sarah Hauser.
That's me.
And Sarah, you have a documentary film done on you, and the name of it is Girl on Wave, and I would encourage all the listeners to go to iTunes and rent the film and watch it. It's just amazing. We're going to show it later today. But Sarah, you are world famous. Did you not take the title last year in
On the
Hawaii?
IWT? Yeah, I was really happy to win the Aloha Classic in Hawaii, which is one of the most famous events in wave sailing, because Hokipa in Hawaii is this mecca of windsurfing. The waves are beautiful and the people can sit on the bluff. It's like a natural arena, and the waves and the colors, everything is amazing. And so winning there is definitely a milestone for a wave sailor like me. So yeah, I'm super, super stoked.
Well, we are really excited to have you. Let's introduce the rest of our ladies here today too, and then we'll come back to some more questions. All right. And next to Sarah, we have.
Hello, thank you for inviting us.
Yes.
I'm Marianne Aukes, I'm from Holland.
Oh yes,
The
you
Netherlands.
told me yesterday or the day before that you were Dutch.
Yes, I'm
And I
Dutch.
was shocked. You sounded Norwegian to me, but now I do hear the Dutch accent. It's beautiful. Thank you. And next to,
Hi.
yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm Kazuki from Japan.
Awesome. And did you participate in the leg of the tour that was just in Japan? Were you also
Yes.
competing there in Japan? Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And next to you we have?
I am Amanda Bienen Cantor now.
Yes.
I used to be a professional windsurfer, and I switched careers to becoming a videographer for the tour.
Right.
Um,
And we've met before when
Yeah.
you were in Pistol River.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay, well, you have much to add. We'll just continue with the interview, and please just jump in if you have something to say, okay?
Okay.
Keep this as informal as we can. Are all of you taking part in all the legs of this tournament? I know there are 6. Are you going to participate in all 6 cities?
I don't know, I did Japan also,
Yes?
and I skipped Chile because I'm also competing in the PWA, the
Oh,
Professional Windsurfer Tour.
uh-huh.
Like it's a bit like, for my sponsors it's bigger, and I've been competing on this tour for the past 10 years. So for my sponsors, they prefer I do this tour, and I'm I'm originally a freestyler, which is a different discipline than waves. It's
Yes.
like a lot of acrobatic tricks on the water, like saltos and flips and stuff like this.
Mhm.
So that's my main discipline. So I have to combine it a bit, and it's not cheap to fly to Oregon,
No.
all the way from Europe.
Yeah.
So it has to be a balance. I try to do a few, and then I'll see. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, and we were so glad you could come.
Yeah.
It was. How
Yeah, it's
many
nice.
women were there at the Pistol River Bash? Do you know?
Yeah, there was six of us.
Six women.
Okay. And so the PWA takes precedence for you, and also the fact that it's more of a freestyle.
Dat de PWA belangrijker is voor je.
So
Yeah, like the PWA, it's they have prize money and they accommodation if you're a top rider and stuff. So for a rider, it's I earn my money there.
Mhm.
And this is not, but I really like the spots where they're doing it. I've been in PWA always going to the same places, and I think this tour has like nicer places. I prefer these kind of places, and there are really some iconic places like Maui and Chile, and I love this kind of conditions a lot actually. Bristol River is really my thing, and the jumping. So I think although it's my passion and it's also my work, but because it never makes you rich, I think it's also important not just to do what pays the bills, but also, this is not something that makes you rich, so it has to also be something that makes you really happy. And this tour is what I really love, so I think it's really nice adventure to do it. And they have like amazing stops on the tour, so it's
Yes.
really nice. Yeah.
Were you surprised that so few people came out to watch?
I don't blame them.
It's never in a nice spot. That's the thing with windsurfing, it's always, if it was a beachy, like 30 degrees, or how you say it in America, like
it would be 80 degrees
80
and
degrees,
no
and
wind.
then people would come, but we always competed with rain or strong wind or sandblasting.
It needs to be televised.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Then only the poor photographers are struggling.
We've heard that Sarah's family was not particularly supportive of her when she started competing. How about you?
Well, both my parents are really into windsurfing. So my first photo is when I'm like a 1-year-old holding my dad on the windsurf.
Uh-huh.
But so they were always like really stimulating me, but I also studied, and actually I was surprised they were not that keen at the beginning when I finished my degree and started competing, until I had my first good result and I wanted to go back to do a master degree. Then it was them saying, come on, you can do this, just keep windsurfing. And they always drive me to the airport with all my luggage, and they drive me anywhere and pick me up. I think you need, I think it's almost impossible to not have them on my side to
Yes.
be able to do this, yeah.
Yes. How old are you?
We're between girls.
You just look so young.
No, I'm 32.
You're 32.
Yeah.
And
That's the young. She's young.
She is young.
She's young. I'm not young anymore. I'm older on tour.
how old are you?
I'm 19.
You are 19, so you compete in the youth division.
But not.
No, that's still
No.
18.
18, I think, right?
Up till 18? Oh, one of the men told me it was 20. He lied.
He lied.
Okay. Well, tell us how it feels while you're out there. We have no idea. We think you're crazy, How does it feel? And Amanda, you can pitch in here too, because you've been a surfer for a long time.
Yeah, I mean...
What does it feel like?
It's very free, it's, I think it's really cool to be able to just take your gear and go out, and it's, it depends a little bit on where you're sailing, right? So every spot is really different, so some places are really wild and cold, like here it's like really a challenge to go, and you're like, oh, I don't know what's gonna come next, and then some places are more like flowy and beautiful, and like Maui, for instance, a whole different kind of story. Still, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still sometimes a struggle, but and I think it just makes you feel like it's really, you're really free, really happy, in the zone, like you just, I mean, yeah, for me at least, like I feel really
How about the rest of you? Why?
They hate it.
What?
They're terrible about this.
I think it's such a hard sport that it's like almost like a meditation. You cannot think of anything else. Then even though your head is full with other things, like you have to be there. Like it's not just your arms; it's everything. You have to. It's so in the moment. Like you have to
Be present.
be so present that it at the same time all this focus makes you forget the rest. I think that's really nice, and it's asks so much from your also like mentally to do the right thing. So in your head and your body is both so busy that it takes away everything. And I think it's really one of the hardest sports in the world because I'm teaching and there's people after 20 years they still want to learn how to make a turn. I don't know any other sport like that you cannot make a turn that you do for 20 years. That is really really hard. So I think because it's so hard, it never ever gets boring. Like doesn't matter, you're at the top level of the world. There's still so much you want to learn, and I think that's
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone else? How does it make you feel?
No, they describe it very well. It's true. It's that we're so many times during the day in our heads thinking about the news and the problems, and when you're finally out in nature, and it can be walking in a forest or being on our boards windsurfing, but just to be immersed in the elements, having to feel the wind, the current, the water, seeing the view. Maybe sometimes you see animals in the water too, but it just makes you feel
Yes.
very connected and very alive, and you always feel better after you've been windsurfing, even if you fell or had a bad session, you still feel very energized, and I think it's also a mindset. Windsurfers like challenges, and that's why even though it's so hard, like Ariane said, we still do it because we like to be challenged. And when something puts us down or when we fall a lot, instead of taking it as a oh, I look ridiculous, or I'm silly, I'm tired, you actually want to understand what you can do to use the power of the wave and not let it crush you, but actually use that. And so it's I think it's a mindset that translates in life too, like to be able, when you see something difficult or a challenge, to see that as an opportunity to learn more and express yourself.
We love that. We love that. We teach that in Gold Beach. We feel that that's so important, that when you encounter obstacles, you get up again and you keep going. Are you happy, ladies, with your effort this week? Did things go as you planned? Come on. Tell us.
If you're happy with how you windsurfed and how did you get a good contest?
Yes.
Yes, she's happy.
Yes.
Good.
Because this condition is like my hometown.
Okay.
So it's so easy other competition. But it's too windy and too cold, but I'm so bad.
No, you're doing great.
Yes, Kazuki.
It's a shock, isn't it? To get in the
It's
water.
so hard. But if I do something like difficult things or hard things, it makes me so happy. So I wanna try again. Then
Good. Good. I'm so glad to hear that. We know how cold it is. You know, most of the people in town think you're totally crazy to go out there. I wonder if that's why they don't want to watch, because they're afraid to watch. They're frightened for you, you know? We wonder, will they ever come back? Look at how far they are out there. Are you going to ever come back? Have the townsfolk been accommodating to you here in Gold Beach?
Oh yeah.
Everybody's so nice.
Everybody is okay?
Yeah, more than okay, yeah.
We don't know how to act around you because we think the sport is so dangerous, and we're in such awe of you. We don't really want to talk to you because we think you're goddesses, you know.
People have been so nice. You've been really nice here.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Who came in second?
Ariane did.
That's good. We like second. We like third.
I'm not. Maya got third, and she couldn't
Yes.
make it here today. And
Oh, okay, so what number were you? 6, 5 or 6?
Yeah,
No,
5
hours.
5, I think.
5?
Just starting.
Okay, that's a good.
Give her a couple
Yeah,
of
that's
years.
We are so in awe you were out there at all. We think you're incredible. Were you happy with the judging? Were the judges fair?
When you win, you think they're fair.
And when you're second, you think they're not.
There was one man that burst out with anger at one point, and there were some F-bombs flying even, and I thought it was good there were no children around.
Yeah.
He was very upset with the judging, and so I'm sure it is to a degree objective, and that the judges
Well, it's
will-
a judge sport, so it's it's a judge sport like any other sport, so it's always subjective. Like, somebody likes the style of somebody, and I think it's hard. That's also something we have to accept, that it's a judge sport. Like, there's some discipline in windsurfing where you go over a line and whoever is first wins, then it's
Like a race.
Oh,
like
yeah,
a race.
so
It's
it's
pretty,
like black and white.
that's
Or the
objective.
most-
Like, the fast one wins, but
Right.
even the height of these jumps out there, it's hard, like, because you don't do them at the same wave, so maybe sometimes you do them really, we were watching and I said, oh, that one is higher. Like, it's really hard,
It's
I
hard
think,
to
to
see.
judge, and when you judge 8 hours with all this wind and the sand, of course it's, even in any kind of sport, and in PWA sometimes I have 7 judges, but I think it's always subjective, and as a rider you also have to know that, and you have to accept it, and you have to know that what they think is best, and that's how it
Yes.
goes.
Yes.
And people are passionate, like for instance, when you said like the guy Antoine, he got really upset. It's obviously, it's the moment, right? You get like really passionate about something and you want to be really good at it, and you have a feeling you did really well, and then you hear you didn't, and you see the score and you don't agree, and it's like, he was winning the tour as well, so it's like, for him there's a lot at stake.
Yes.
So he obviously gets like, it's an emotional outburst.
Yes.
But the good thing is that it's not a personal thing, I feel like. I think that's really important to know, that he's not upset, for instance, with the other guy that won. He's
No.
happy for him. He's like, okay, you deserve to be here. But at that moment, you're just like,
Ugh.
that's not right, like, and it's good that these things happen, because it shows that people actually care. I'm not saying it's great, everybody should just like shout and be disrespectful to other people. That's not how I mean it.
Yes.
But the fire and the passion is something you have to have if you want to compete, because else you might as well just go sail for fun. Don't compete.
That
You
is
need
so
that fire.
true.
You need that passion.
Yes.
And
Yes.
You need to
sometimes it
sometimes
comes out like
stand up
that.
for yourself.
And
also.
sometimes
Yes.
you need to say something about things that's also
Yes.
part of it.
Exactly. And
So-
and it wasn't a criticism. It actually made for some drama the day
It's
I was
interesting.
watching.
It's
Yes.
really interesting. Like, you can say what you want, and some people are really like, whoa, what happened? But also from like a video perspective, I think it's really interesting to see.
It is. It is. Did you get that on tape?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes, I did. We watched it together, and he said, I was like, you're fine. Yeah, we watched it. We laughed about it.
I actually got a chance to hear a few other comments in the background with mostly the men. I didn't get to hear much of what you ladies were talking about because I was absent the day of your finals.
Oh.
I didn't get to the beach that day. But one contestant said that he would really say that the hardest part of his day was carrying his equipment, his craft back to the loading area because of the terrain, and he was already so tired coming up out of the competition. And I suggested that we should probably have caddies like the golfers.
They used to
Yeah.
have it back in the day.
I was jealous because my boyfri's not here, and I saw like Sarah and Maria, the number 3, like having the boyfriends with them helping. I was like, it's a sport without you two. Yeah, I had Kazuki. She was helping me in the finals, carrying the gear.
That is so nice.
Because it's true, I had my gear really far downwind, and I was like, if I carry this all the way up, if just before my heat, it's in the wind, it's really hard.
It
and actually
is. You practically are lifted off the ground. It's like carrying wings that are
yeah,
going
and
to.
with the wind, it's your.
Real heavy.
So yeah.
It was so funny. How many years do you train before you start competing?
Well, I mean,
Well,
Depends how good you want to do, yeah?
yeah, but I think it's also good to sometimes like put yourself in a situation where you're not necessarily gonna win, but you're gonna learn. You know, so with the women on the international windsurfing tour, we're in a way lucky enough that there are not that many, and so if you started windsurfing a year ago and you want to enter the competition, you can. You might not do great the first time, but you're going to learn the drill, you know, like what we're just saying, that you get tired if you walk the beach up and down too much.
Yeah,
or,
it's things you need to learn.
you know, like they're
It's-
just little things that make the whole difference. Like when you finish sailing, go change. If you only have an hour, don't get cold, drink a lot of water. These little things that only experience and repeating a lot of competition teach you. And I think with a lot of things, sometimes we wait till we have it all figured out perfectly. But it's good to throw yourself and not care too much about the
Yeah.
result. Just to be like, I want to learn. I want to.
And it can be a motivation.
Yeah,
also,
that's
like
just what I wanted to say.
I started freestyling the first year on tour, and they told me I was old. I was 23 at the time, so almost 10 years ago. But for freestyle, you're old. Like it's, and I got last, and everybody told me you're not good enough. You're last. Just, and then the year after, I was top 5 because I did it, and I realized, wow, I love this, and actually I can be better. I don't want to be last. I want to, you know, it really motivated me that there was guys saying, "Oh, you're not good enough. You're too old." Like I saw it, and you suddenly feel like part of something. And I love the competition, and you know, to compete with others. And I think somehow because it's less women, it can also be like a nice group that really helps each other. And you know, like I think on tour we'll always like try to lift the new ones up, help them to get into it, and yeah, I think
Oh,
you know, if you start, you always need a few years to get into it. And,
I started
Yeah.
and I remember starting I think I windsurfed for 5 years maybe, which just sounds like a lot, but it wasn't.
Yes.
And then I did my first tour and I lost, obviously, every heat. Like I got my butt handed to me, like bad. And it was a reality check too because I thought I was pretty good. And I was like, oh, actually, I really suck. And then, and it made me, and I really don't like losing.
Yeah.
I'm really competitive. And actually, that was the moment everything turned around because I got really, like, inspired and motivated. I was like, I don't want to lose. Like, I don't want to feel like I do bad. You know, and I
Yes.
started, like, really working at things and really looking at stuff, like, in a really different way. I was like, okay, what do I need? What do I need to do to get there? And then you just go from there, and it's
That is wonderful.
really motivating.
What else can I ask you?
Can I ask Amanda a question?
Go ahead.
Is it kind of a, what do you call it? A downer to be there and watch them do
It's
things?
a good
and-
question.
and
It's a good
feel
question.
that, you know, living vicariously?
Well, repeat the question for the audience.
She asked me if it's a downer to be here while everybody's competing and I'm kind of on the beach, basically, right? So the background to this is that I competed for a long time. I did the world tour and I did well for myself, I feel like. Moved to Hawaii, got married, the dream. And I was really into windsurfing still, and then at one point I was on fire, and I was like, this is gonna be my year. And then I broke my leg, windsurfing, and I think that was a really big turning point because I was off the water for a while. I had to occupy myself. I know I'm gonna loop back to your question. And I got a little bit more into like videography, photography, like that kind of stuff, like drew me. And I found a whole new career path for myself in this time. And I also realized that actually, even though I love this sport, I was a little bit done with it. I did it for a long time. I traveled the world. It was amazing. I would never, if I could do it again, I would do it exactly the same. However, it was a big part of my personality, right? It's who I am. I was Amanda, the windsurfer. That was what I was. So I had a really big struggle in like a year. I think it was a year that I did. In the time I was healing as well, and I started windsurfing again, and I realized I wasn't having fun. I was doing it because I felt it was expected of me. So I'm the person that I should go sailing because that's who I am.
Yes.
But actually, I wanted to do other stuff. I was like, I'm really into this thing now, this photo, video. I we want to go there. It took me a really long time to admit it, because if you're surrounded and all your friends do this sport and they all feel that you should do it because they want to go windsurf with you or they want you to be good, you know, like there are people like push you, they're like, come, let's go, like, no, you're good, why would you quit, it's great, you know, you feel bad, and like, so that was a big struggle for me. The first event when I was filming it, I kind of also competed at the same time. I didn't really want to, I didn't feel I was doing good enough, like it was a really big thing. Now, I'm so happy with where I am in my life, like that I found this whole new passion that I feel like, hey,
Oh,
just
good.
because the one thing ended doesn't mean that, you know, that I can't.
Yeah.
I think that's like a,
Does it give you an opportunity to mentor? I mean, you watch what you film, and then
yes.
afterwards,
I think I don't want to tell people how to.
Yes, you do.
I mean, I did tell you something, but I didn't want to. Also, I do have I have a little bit of a struggle with that, right? Because I don't feel like I'm any better than anybody else at this thing. So it's kind of hard sometimes to be like, hey, but I see something, I want to help you, but you don't want to overstep. I don't want to tell you how to do your thing. You know what I mean? Like it's that's. Well, we had a chat the other day about like jumping, where I was like, hey, I was like, I don't want to tell you how to windsurf, but like I see this, like here's the video, this is what you need to change, kind of like to help out, you know, like, but it, yeah. So yes, it's, yeah.
That is,
Do you
that-
still do it for fun?
I went actually a few days ago for the first time since like 6 months. I haven't been on the water for a long time because I was living in Hawaii and I moved to Santa Cruz. And well, that's not the reason I wasn't windsurfing. I was just not feeling it. But actually, a few days ago when I got here, I went windsurfing here, and I actually really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. It was really good. I was like, oh, maybe I'll bring my gear to Peru when I go to Peru. And actually go
it is a challenge. What is the gear made out of? Can you tell us a little bit about what the
Can I
sail?
just say one point about
Oh, go
Amanda?
ahead.
Sorry, I just like wanted to say that personally, I really, really love the fact that Amanda is a videographer now, because it's kind of nice work between women here, except for Mr. Thanks for coming though. But yeah, windsurfing, I mean, you must have seen at the beach, it's male dominated, right? There were 6 of us women competing, and so it's nice to live in a time where things are changing in sports and different industries, and you see more women taking roles, and it's got to be, even in the filming industry, they say there's got to be women in front, but also behind the camera, and that's what's really nice about having Amanda being a videographer in this industry.
I don't know a lot of girls that are swimming and shooting.
Yeah, no, there are very few women who do what she does, so I think she's inspiring other women to like we try to do, to not put themselves in a box, but to
And she
expand
understands
their
us
goals.
better when she films us,
And
because
she
she has
does.
been there.
Mhm.
Yes, she has been
Yeah.
there. She knows the competition. She knows when we will do something. I think it's different when you have,
And like, if you have men filming an event,
they film
they
the
film
men.
the men. Oftentimes, you know, they
Yeah.
sometimes overlook the women a little bit. And I
Yeah, we
feel
don't want
Not
to
just a
overlook the
little bit,
women here.
yeah.
not quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like we can even it out now, and you know.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, that was just it.
sounds like payback.
Yeah.
We appreciate those comments very much.
I think that's actually why I wanted to do this tour.
Because I'm here filming
Yeah.
you.
No, because you know, I mean, we
Okay.
have world tour and there's more prize money, there's more money, but still there's 35,000 euro prize money for men, and there's only 15 for women,
Which is actually a great point that you bring.
which is less than half for the men. And I've been like second in the world in freestyle, and I did not have any sponsor paying me. Well, if you're top
You're
20
a guy.
men, you get everything, you know, paid for, and you know, it's really hard in those years to not, you know, it's really easy to get upset about it, to be really negative, because you see all the men being able, and also that's why it keeps us down, because besides being second in the world, I still had to have a job to pay my bills. And I think really slowly they're trying, like in PW last year they had one event that's organized by 2 women who fought for having equal prize money, and this tour has equal prize money
Yes,
for the first
I saw
time.
that.
And
Yeah.
I've been in board of the world tour, and I've tried to change things there, but I gave up because it's too hard. And I thought this is what I should do this tour, because here they see the value that we have to have equal prize money for men and women, and I think it's what she said, it's a male-dominated sport, and it is really physical, really hard sport.
Yes.
But besides that, there's no gear made for women. You know, you asked about women. It's not. You know, we're
Using the same
we're
stuff as the
always
guys.
20 kilo less, or whatever you say in pounds. Like we're lighter, we're smaller. It's this wind is so strong. The men are on their smallest sail, but we're also on our smallest sail, and it's the same size. You know, it's. I think it's so hard, and I think it's really good that finally this tour they try to have equal prize money to help us get equal, because if there's prize money, more women can come, and you know, like girls like from Japan, it's such an expensive sport, and if you don't have sponsors like men like can have, then it's really hard. And I think only level can also rise when there's more fish, you know. Then, if there's only 10 women, of course, out of these 10 there's a few good, but if you have 100 women, the level automatically goes up. So it goes hand in hand, and I hope this tour can do that.
Question for you, because we watch Women's World Cup. I mean, it's huge for our family. And the American women have actually taken FIFA to court because the women's soccer players do not make the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Can you do that with IWT? Is there a governing body that you can...
So now in IWT it's equal, but in PWA, in the World Tour, it's not equal.
Oh, that's right, in the professional. But
Well, the thing is, that's really funny, because last year it was equal in PWA for the first event that this two women organized, and I thought everybody would be happy, you know. We were not taking the money from the guys, it was just extra. So I thought, wow, and they got so much more women, and I thought everybody would love it, also the men. We got so much angry comments, like so much you cannot imagine. And they're literally saying, oh, if you want to have equal prize money, just compete with the men. And I said, we're physically, you know, we're not the same build. Like a man has so much more muscle, he's so much taller. We are not comparable. It doesn't mean we're less. Doesn't mean we have no right to, but so it's really hard to stand up.
You're different. You're not.
Yeah, you're different, and I think that's the beauty of it, you know. You should not say, this guy should always earn more because his jumps are higher, but I think they should not compare it, but see what's the woman's beauty of it, that you're a girl, but
really
you're
upsetting.
out there, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's...
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we are thrilled, and we could keep going for an hour, but I imagine you have other things you want to do today. Have you found things to do in Gold Beach?
Oh
Just
yeah.
windsurfing. Just stopped.
They have windsurfing here, I've been told.
Yeah.
We went
We went
exploring
exploring yesterday. We went up the river.
Oh,
I mean, we
good.
were here last. I mean, I was here last year and did it a lot because there was
No wind last year.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yesterday we went up the river, saw the forest. I don't know what river. Oh, Creek.
Ah.
It was quite far away
I forgot.
towards...
The
It's like past-
Francis Schrader Trail.
I don't remember.
They don't know
It was
where
great,
they were,
but it was like a
they enjoyed
boobies,
it?
They said it's
Yeah,
like the
right.
prettiest river.
The Rogue River, the Checo.
Jacko.
Jacko.
That's where we went.
Oh,
We went
yeah.
swimming,
Boat
started
park.
paddle boarded a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
they've got
It was
good
so
swimming there.
beautiful. It was
Rogue is
great.
too big.
It was great.
I'm taking the Brazilians, Edvan and Aurora, to Stout Grove. And
Oh,
that's
cool.
just on the other side of this, in that state called California, where the redwoods are especially dramatic. So we'll see that on their way out of town. I'm going
So
to take them
beautiful
there.
there.
Yeah. Most of what we do here in Gold Beach involves being outside. That's why we live here. So we're really glad.
Well,
that
we went
you've
into the
enjoyed
forest
it.
yesterday, and it's incredible.
Gorgeous. The big trees.
Mind-blowing, yeah.
Yeah,
huge.
and old growth spruce mostly, I think, where you were.
There was like one
There was a tree that
hollow
was...
one,
Yeah.
huge, like with a big hole in it, and it was sort of burned down. I'm sorry.
Yes.
It was really nice. It was really nice. It was
It's really
impressive.
cool to see also how clean everything is here. You know, being from Maui, where we love being outside in nature, we've seen over the years how much more we find plastics on the beach or trash in the ocean, you know, because there's a lot of tourism and cruise ships and stuff. And coming here, it's refreshing to see a beach where you don't find any trash in the sand, or it's a really clean place. So it's a
A lot of us pick it up on a regular
Yeah,
walk.
man,
That's amazing.
we have 2 or
Some
3
right now.
beach
Yeah.
cleanups every year, yeah.
Oh, that's
We work on that. Thank you for noticing. We appreciate that. Thank you for coming, ladies.
thank
So
you.
happy.
We are so happy you came.